Hi everyone, my name is Ms. Cho, and today we'll be using the distributive property of multiplication over addition and subtraction to solve multi-step equations. This is a must-do lesson. First, let's review the distributive property using an example from the G-train. The G-train used to be 6 cars long, but in 2001, the MTA decided that was too many and took away 2. But then over the next decade, so many people were moving to Brooklyn and riding the G-train that the MTA thought, well, maybe we need to add back 4 more cars. So take a moment to write an expression that represents the total number of seats in the whole train if there are 70 seats per car. There's many ways to think about this, but I want to focus on 2. Some of you thought, well, let me multiply 70 seats per car times the total number of cars at the end of the day. So I started with 6, I took away 2, and I add 4. So by order of operations, inside the parentheses going left to right, 6 minus 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8, so this is 70 times 8, which is 560. Others of you thought, well, I could look at this at every point in the train's history. There are always 70 seats. But when the train was 6 cars long, I had 70 times 6 seats. When I took away 2 cars, I took away 70 times 2 seats. If I add 4 cars, I'll add 70 times 4 seats. This is 420 minus 140 plus 280, which is 280 plus 280, or 560. Notice that no matter how you thought about it, whether you wanted to find the total number of cars first, or you wanted to find the seats at every point in the train's history, we still ended up with the same number of seats for the whole train, 560. This tells us that 70 times 6 minus 2 plus 4 is equal to 70 times 6 minus 70 times 2 plus 70 times 4. This is an example of the distributive property, which tells us in general that A times B plus C is equal to AB plus AC, and A times B minus C is equal to AB minus AC. Take a moment to write down 2 things in your notes. 1, what do you notice about the distributive property? And 2, what do you wonder? I'll share my thoughts when we come back. So there's 2 things I want to draw your attention to. 1 is that we are multiplying 2 factors. We have this one on the outside, the number of seats, and then this one, the number of cars, which has some additions and subtraction in it. When we multiply, we're going to take the outside factor and multiply by everything inside the parentheses. So we have a 6, that means we're going to have a 70 times 6. We have a 2, we're going to have a 70 times 2. We have a 4, we're going to have a 70 times 4. And the second thing I want you to notice is that we keep the signs that come right before each term. So we have a minus 2, and a plus 4, plus 4. And again, we keep the signs. We have a plus C, plus C. We have a minus, we have a minus. So how does this help us solve equations? Let's take a look using a different example. When my family comes to visit me in New York, they all have to buy Metro cards because they don't live here. As you know, a Metro card is $2.75 times the number of rides plus $1 new card fee. So there's 6 people in my family, my parents, my siblings, and their spouses. And let's say they all bought the same number of rides and paid $171. I want to know how many rides they got. Before, I could simplify what was inside the parentheses and then multiply by the outside factor. But I can't do that here because I have a variable and I can't simplify this expression anymore. But that's okay. The distributive property tells us that if I don't know this total, I can still get to the same answer by looking at the parts. And what are the parts? Let's draw an area diagram. I have the part of the Metro card that is $2.75 times the number of rides. And I have the part that's just the new card fee. And there's 6 people, and so everyone has to pay for the rides, and everyone has to pay the new card fee. And that gives us 171. I can multiply this out. So 6 times 275 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 7 is 42. Plus 3 is 45. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 4 is 16. That gives me 1650 plus 6 is equal to 171. Whoops, forgot the R. And then I can subtract the 6 from each side, which leaves me with 1650R is equal to 165. I can divide each side by 1650, and that leaves me with R is equal to 10 rights. So to recap, the distributive property helps us solve equations by telling us that when we multiply factors with addition and subtraction with them, even if we can't simplify them, we can still get the answer by looking at the parts. If you have any questions, please ask your teachers. If not, you can move on to the practice. Bye.